This is the Vauxhall Movano, a large van that's been in the market for what feels like decades, but has never really had its moment in the sun. And the reason for that is it competes in a marketplace where two of its biggest competitors are the Ford Transit and the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. Two vans that offer an awful lot in terms of comfort, tech, efficiency, and good old-fashioned style. So, is the Vauxhall Movano going to be your next large van? Well, that's a question for the ages, and one I hope to answer today in the Vauxhall Movano's very own Vanarama road test. Now, before we get going, I'd just like to say that I sincerely hope you enjoy this review, and if you do, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel and click that bell to get notified whenever we post new content just like this. And if you're in the market for a brand new van, car or pickup truck, head to vanarama.com and check out the deals. Now, with all that said and done, let's get cracking. So let's start at the front, and I think one of the most noticeable things about the new Vauxhall Movano is it does have a new look. It's got a slightly updated grille, but one of the most noticeable things is the new headlights. No longer are they stacked up here, they are now nice and flat, and that's because this is a Stellantis platform sharing large van. Citroën, Peugeot and Fiat, they're all going to be using vans that sort of look a little bit similar to this, but with different badges at the front. So there we go, it's got a nice new look. Come around the side and you'll see that nothing much else has really changed. Still the same big old imposing Vauxhall Movano that it ever was. There's a huge, great big area on the side here, especially in the panel van version where you can just cover it with your branding. You've got your nice strong steel wheels, you've got excellent door mirrors. It's just big and imposing. It's even got the same black bumpers running down the bottom as well. So if someone does open their door a bit harshly, that's going to take the impact, not your paintwork. Same old Movano. Being part of the Stellantis group means that the Vauxhall Movano is now one of 4 vans that essentially are the same van, just with different badges. So let's be clear, that means that now approximately 50% of the van market in the large sector is the same van. But then of course that's true of the medium van sector and the small van sector as well. The problem that the Vauxhall Movano and the Stellantis large vans has, though, is that they are operating in a marketplace which is already dominated by the Ford Transit, a very nice, very affordable vehicle, and the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, one of the best large vans we've seen in the sector for an incredibly long time. It's absolutely filled with tech and comfort. Mercedes know how to do a nice, comfy car interior, and they transferred all that nous and know-how over into the large van. So, while the Vauxhall Movano is competing against 2 very good large vans, it's also competing against 3 of its own brothers. And with NCAP safety data just out, Fiat has actually been shown to be the safest. Now, I'm not saying this van is unsafe, it's just that the Fiat version of this particular vehicle is safer. On its own merits, however, the new Vauxhall Movano offers new, sleek looks and new engines. The powerful engine under the bonnet is a Euro 6D compliant 2.2 litre engine. And it's available in power outputs of 120 PS, 140 PS and 165 PS, and they output a maximum torque of 370 Newton meters, which actually is quite a lot of torque. And I have to say, when I'm driving this vehicle, I do feel all that power bubbling away under the bonnet. No matter which version you choose, you are going to find that all of those engines are mated to the very same 6-speed gearbox that you find in all the other ones too. There's also an electric version available, and we will make sure to get that in. It just depends which manufacturer under the Stellantis umbrella decides to send us the first version, and that's the one we're going to review. And I have to say that the 2.2 litre engine really does earn its crust, because I don't feel like I'm driving a large van. I feel like I've got the power of a medium van. Ford Transit Custom has a 2 litre diesel engine. Vauxhall Movano has a 2.2 litre. There's probably more torque coming from this engine. So actually, for a big van that's meant to be carrying huge unwieldy loads, maybe not that heavy, but huge unwieldy loads, you do feel like you have an awful lot of power. It doesn't feel like there's even really a kind of roof to that power, because I stick it into second, I put my foot down, there's an a huge surge of power up into third, pressing down hard on the accelerator, and it just feels like there's bang. I mean, in fact, the gearbox is screaming at me to change up a gear, and even in fourth, you've still got a lot of power. Now, I would imagine that this is going to stiffen up quite a lot when you are under load. Let's not forget that actually, depending on which version of this vehicle you choose, you're looking at payloads of around 2,100 kilograms. I imagine that that torque is going to be transferred from immediate speed to just good, honest, solid pulling power. The drive feels slightly more refined than the previous version of the Movano, but I have to say there's not a lot in it. Visibility in this vehicle has always been particularly good, especially out of the front. The huge windscreen feels like an absolutely massive viewing port, something akin to that which you'd find on the Starship Enterprise for any of my Trekkie fellow fans out there. If you're not, don't worry about it, it's about spaceships in space. The one thing I have to say is a little bit jarring is actually the A-pillars don't do a great job of staying out of your vision, because I'm always conscious that you've got this big bar of plastic right here, and I've got to say that when I've been at roundabouts, junctions, that kind of thing, I have had to crane round the side of it, because sitting back, actually this bit of plastic starts to impede my vision a little bit. So just one to bear in mind across the Stellantis that, I mean look, it's not a deal breaker, craning round is all well and good, but just so you know, those A-pillars do get a little bit in the way. The driving experience is pretty nice, and the cabin has had some updates, although it does feel a little bit familiar. And I'm not going to say it feels tired, because it doesn't feel tired, it feels absolutely fine and absolutely functional, but I don't know, I kind of can't help but feel like I was expected to jump into a 2022 van and go, oh wow, this is awesome, but actually I kind of got in and went a bit, oh, all right, okay. So here we are in the cabin of the Vauxhall Movano large van, and I'm not going to lie to you, there are better cabins out there, but as I said, this is a van that is going to find its niche as an affordable option or an affordable alternative to some of the other vans that dominate the marketplace. Now look, there's a lot to like in here. It's tough, it's black plastic, it's not going to mark up badly. As I said, you know, fleet drivers, fleet operators, they're going to absolutely love this because there's not much to mess up in here. It's got a massive steering wheel, and I have to say it is an enormous steering wheel. It feels like something that has been pulled out of the front of an HGV, but it's got some controls on it for your phone, volume control, that kind of thing. Behind that is a very nice and clear dashboard instrumentation display, which displays, you know, very clear and very easy to understand, but very basically laid out info. You've got your speedo, your rev counter, coolant temperature, the fuel indicator is there. I mean, it's all present and correct. You've got this interesting center console here with the gear stick mounted, you know, in a very convenient position. Again, look, I'm not going to say that this isn't an easy to use or easy to like cabin, because it is. Everything's exactly where it should be. And to be fair, touchscreens, they're so overrated. You know, all the hard dials and buttons, they really do help you stay in control of the vehicle. There is, however, a touchscreen. I mean, I'm not lying, this little screen right here is a touchscreen. You can manipulate the controls on it, and if you want to, you can control everything right here. I just have to say, it's probably just a little bit too small to actually be convenient, while it's already flanked by all the buttons and controls that you'd want to use anyway. I think for me, the place where this interior actually stands out is not just the beautiful fabrics that they put on the seat here with this lovely kind of dusky blue and Vauxhall red pattern on the black fabric. The place this van really excels is in storage, and I have to say there is an abundance of storage. You've got enormous pockets in the doors. In fact, you've got two enormous pockets in the doors right here. You've got all these little sort of sills and cup holders and sort of open storage up here. But one of my favourite little additions is just here, because there is an enormous glove box. I mean, it's not for gloves. I mean, there's a jack in the bottom of this right here, and you could fit all sorts of other stuff in there. There's even a USB charging socket at the bottom of this, so you can actually plug in whatever device you're carrying to charge it up inside this drawer right here, which is also lockable and secure storage. You've got a nice cup holder over here. You've got some 12-volt socket right here. Underneath this little one, I absolutely love this. They must have had an abundance of 12-volt socket covers, because they've used it to cover a little USB socket right here. So as I said, storage is somewhere this vehicle really excels, because there's even storage right above your head up here, which is a perfect place to store paperwork so it doesn't go flying around inside the interior and causing you chaos when you're trying to drive. And finally, last but by no means least, one of my favourite touches in a van, and really, I mean, it's sort of showing its kind of not age, it's just showing its cut, by including a wonderful clipboard that pops up out of the centre of the dash, and you can put whatever you want there. They say put your digital device up there. It's a clipboard holder. I mean, it's brilliant. I love it. So there you go, the cabin of the Vauxhall Movano. While it may look a little bit dated, actually there's a big benefit here. You're never going to mind marking it up a little bit or tracking some mud in. It's all tough, it's all durable. There's bags of storage, a few tech bells and whistles. you can live without them. So anyway, I do have to mention that there is some good stuff, and I think one of the real strengths of the Movano, and I'm sure its brethren, is just the sheer volume of permutations that you can get this vehicle in. So you can get it in panel van, you can get it in crew van, you can get it in chassis cab, and you can also get it in platform cab as well. And that's all great. So far, so large van, it's kind of what you expect. It's got the size, but there is another area that a large van of this size has to do well in. So let's head there right now and take a look at the cargo area. And the load area is a place that a large van really does have to compete. And of course, as you can see, the Vauxhall Movano really does manage to compete. It's got these two great big back doors that open up to 180 degrees. And there's no little door locks you have to fanny around with back here. Literally, this takes care of it. They just slot into place. Perfect. And it opens up into a massive great big cargo area that will offer you a load volume of up to 17 cubic meters and payloads of up to 2,100 kilograms depending on which version of this particular vehicle you decide to go for. Now look, all the information is going to be whizzing around me so you can take it in at your leisure. But what I really want to get across is that this van, it really does not let you down in one place where it counts, and that is here, the cargo area. So, how do we finish this one? Well, the Vauxhall Movano has a very difficult job ahead of it. It's competing in a sector where the Ford Transit and Mercedes-Benz Sprinter absolutely dominate the marketplace, and it's got to compete with its three other brothers. So I can understand why people might pass it up. But it takes all sorts to make a world. And in this world, we need affordable options. And the Vauxhall Movano may very well be, on those terms, the next best choice that you will ever make for your large van.